Hey guys, Flabaliki here today and welcome back to Cities Skylines, starting off with another time-lapse. And by starting off, I mean like this whole episode is a time-lapse, so look, if time-lapses aren't your thing, then this is not the episode for you. And also, double bonus episode, if trains aren't your thing, then this is also not the episode for you. Whole time-lapse episode, all on trains. So I've been talking about for ages, ever since we did the previous train exchange hub thing on the other edge of the map near that huge industrial area where we had the regional trains come in and we did a transfer to the local networks on the inside of the map. I've been talking about doing that on the other side of the map for the longest time as well. So I'm finally doing it this episode. But first of all, right here, you can see I'm adding in a second track here that actually allows the trains from that cargo hub to turn left and go over the other bridge because I felt that that was actually a pretty crucial connection as well. I didn't actually monitor it. I don't know how many trains actually ended up having use it, but it's there in case they do. But I thought it was going to be quite important considering we're doing a lot of train work through this area. I don't know, once I put down these, like when I built all these trains out last episode and we spent ages doing that second station as well, I was like, I kind of want to do more with trains. I'm getting into the trains. We're soon going to probably be done with major train networks in this map because honestly, there's not that many other places to go that would make sense for trains. And we could probably just start using other forms of transport. But I was like, you know what? I'm into trains right now. Let's do some stuff here. So I'm just doing a little tunnel section here for these 3 tracks because obviously we have the 2 tracks there. Well, I guess 4 tracks, but you know, obviously there's a lot of rails there, but we'll just call them 3 tracks just for the sake of ease. So 2 of those are actually the cargo lines. We have like the cargo bypass and then the cargo line that goes through the station and then it's going to continue on this side. So the 2 on the right there merge into 1. That's our cargo. Then we have the other passenger line that's going to continue on. We still do have that weird train line up there at the top of the screen that you see at the moment. That one that goes around. There's literally no reason for that to exist, but it does. And I don't know what to do with it. All I did was connect it directly back into this rail. So it literally just bypasses one train station and then just joins back in again. And there's no other reason for it to exist except for that. The one reason I could think of it existing and possibly being potentially useful is if we used it as an express train that goes, we could with this whole new train expansion that we're doing now, once we build the rest of it just a little bit later on, we actually have a connection down this side of the map that goes all the way to Amity Exchange. So we could actually connect trains directly from Central to Amity with no stops by expressing past all those stations. But I don't know that that's really going to be useful because we already have a train that is essentially express because we have the train that goes Central to the stadium and then to Amity. So I don't know that that's going to be really useful. So I didn't bother with that. Like, that's why it's almost a completely useless section there. Anyway, so now we're planning out this whole new area, which is going to be half industrial cargo hub, half passenger hub, because obviously we're going to have all the passenger trains coming in from the region as well, which is going to be a huge influx of passengers there. So we have 2 regional connections. So I wanted to make sure that we had proper connections here as well. I didn't want all the trains to share one station. So I have 2 cargo stations, 1 for each of our regional connections. And I essentially, all I do is I connect the regional line directly to the cargo hub and it connects nowhere else. That's the only place it connects. And I do the same with the other one. So there's no way it could create any sort of train traffic jams throughout the rest of the map, which if you don't know why I'm doing that, I suggest you go back and watch the previous 81 episodes. Somewhere in there, we had a lot of train issues. There was a whole episode where I did a whole train interchange things to try and help, but it didn't help. But doing this method really did. So I thought we'd do the same thing over here. And once we get this up and running near the end of this episode as well, it actually is working quite well. So you may see that I have now connected the inner or the second track on each of these cargo hubs because obviously those 2 stations there are going to be for the internal trains throughout the map. And that doesn't matter if they connect. In fact, it's more useful if all those lines connect. So we want to make sure that they all join together nice and neatly because that's how we're going to transfer cargo between locally within the map and going externally out off to wherever, to mystery land that nobody knows where it goes to. We just don't know. But anyway, I had a lot of time here to sort of figure out these tracks. I was spending a lot of time building them. We're obviously in a very hilly area as well, so you obviously saw I did a lot of leveling of the terrain just to make it work. I mean, there was no way that this was going to work without flattening some of the terrain here. I was trying to find the best place to put this whole hub. And I could have either done it I was thinking potentially further inland. You see where all those trees are not that far. All those trees just on the right-hand side there, I was thinking there, but I was like, that's a little too far into the map, because if I want to build up there, which by the way, it's a very nice area, so I might actually want to build up there. If I built this all the way in there, it cuts off a huge section of the map that we can no longer use, because we're going to have all these train tracks going all over it. Like, this area is super busy with loads of train lines. I've left a lot of room as well if we need to add more. And I was trying to figure out what train station to do here. I was like looking through what I had, and I was like, you know what? None of these work. I don't think any of them are right for the area. So I went big or I went home. I downloaded this one here, which is a huge, it's kind of a crazy design one. I really like it, but it's got four tracks down the bottom. So 8 platforms down the bottom. Then it has another 4 on an upper level. Not that we're using anywhere near all of those tracks. I think we actually use 4. I think we use all 4 bottom ones, or maybe 3 of the bottom ones, but it's enough. Like, we're using a lot of them, and it actually works really well, because it means we have, I use one of the tracks for the regional trains. They both share a couple of the platforms, because it doesn't really matter if they share it, or, you know, it's not the same as the cargo ones, which I wanted to keep completely separate. But yeah, we use the regional train sharing this platform there, the outermost one, and then we have the local line coming to the next one, and then we actually have another line that branches off to the other side, which will continue up to Mulberry, but I didn't build that line just yet. But that one will be going up to Mulberry and the new Lake Town, whatever that was called, and that line will go up that way. But so far we've connected the train lines through this way and through to Amity Exchange. That's sort of where it goes at the moment. Yeah, so these tracks here, obviously going underneath, these are the passenger lines. I guess the only kind of annoying thing about this station was that it is underground. Like, it is a sunken station technically, so I had to make sure all the rails were lowered down. And because this area already is like a really hilly, uneven area, there's so much elevation change in all these rails all over the place. But it ends up looking kind of cool. Like, we get all these, we get a lot of verticality with all these rails, as you can see. Like, we got a lot of bridges, we got a lot of little underpasses and overpasses, lots of curves. I think it definitely looks really interesting. I think at the very least it looks super interesting, so I'm quite happy with that in the end. So yeah, we're just getting all those trains to go in there. They have to do some interesting curves just to get to the right angle, because we have to go under the track that's passing over, and it's a whole thing. But in the end, it actually works out. Now, you might also be thinking, with 2 pretty major cargo train stations here, that the traffic is going to be a little bit precarious, trying to figure out the best way to do it. But I have a solution to that. If it's been 3 years now and I haven't learned how to deal with traffic in this game yet, then I'm doing something wrong. But I have learned how to deal with traffic, and obviously with the advent of traffic mods, it's made it a little bit easier. But I have a way that works, and in game, it's been running for a while now. It works pretty damn well, so I'm quite happy with it. You'll see in a little bit as we start building that. But for now, obviously, still working on the rails. Now, if you had to watch this real time, probably wouldn't be as fun, especially because I'd be talking slower. I'd be trying to decide things while talking slowly. It's just not as engaging. So I thought, why don't we just do a little bit of a time lapse? Also because I was just like, I think we need to do a time lapse episode. There's like a lot of projects that we need to do around the place. Every so often there's like a big project that I need to do, because I think the way it works in this series, and like all of my City Skyline series that I've done, or at least the last couple, you start off the first like, I don't know, maybe 50 episodes really don't need that many time lapses. But as you get past that, because the city is already so big, anything that we need to do is going to be big. like it's usually something like, hey, we need to redesign this highway interchange, or build a new highway because the infrastructure is crap and we can't handle the traffic, or build a whole train hub. Like, you're not going to need to do this in episode 2. I mean, I guess you could. Like, honestly, when we start a new city, which I don't think is that far off. I mean, it's not that close either. Don't get worried. I'm not planning on stopping this city like tomorrow or anything. But like, realistically, it's not that far away, because there's not a huge amount of space left that I want to build much in, because I don't want the whole map to be buildings. I want to have I still want to build some little towns here and there. We obviously got to do the Vegas stuff. There's a handful of things I still really want to do. We're going to do the Vegas town, the Area 51 thing. There's still a bunch of things to do, but realistically, we're coming to near the end of the city. Maybe the city might even go to the first city that we get to 100 episodes on, because I think that's probably very plausible. The city has not died. My game is able to still run it, and that would be pretty cool. But I'm really excited though with the new DLC for this game that's coming out, Park Life. Is that what it's called? Where you can build custom parks and custom theme parks. People have been suggesting to do a theme park in this game for ages. Like, I think even in my last city. And I want to do one too, but the problem is I can never find that many good assets on the workshop. But with this new DLC, that obviously there comes with all this theme park stuff, and they have a new system where you can place park buildings, like, you know, not on roads. They don't have to be on roads, which is one of the big issues we have at the moment. Like, even when we were building the university a few episodes ago, where we were trying to, you know, do all these like park-based things, and we had to put them right next to a road. Otherwise, it's like, oh, there's no road access. So it makes it really hard to make just a nice big park or anything like that. Even like national parks, people have been requesting for ages. I don't know that I'm going to bother doing a national park in this city. Although I guess maybe we could do it with Park Life when it comes out. But obviously, we have not really designed this city around custom parks, which I think is going to probably be a really big component of the next city we do. And I think that will be really cool. I think it'll completely change the way we do it. Because at the moment, my cities are really just lots of roads, and then highways in between them. Highways and then roads, and that's kind of it. But I think, like, I've tried to do parks here and there. Like, we did that one larger park where we kind of forced people to walk through it by the way we designed the area around it. But if we get the new DLC where we can actually design proper parks, and you can actually charge admission to parks and earn money off them too. So you essentially build a theme park, then charge an entrance fee. Well, at least that's what it looks like. Obviously, it's not going to be super in-depth. It's City Skylines. There's limits to all this stuff. But I think the potential for it to at least look really cool. And, keeping in mind when, you know, asset creators start creating custom park elements, there's going to be a lot that we're going to be able to do with it. I can absolutely guarantee that. So I'm really excited for that. And I think that's going to really shine in a new series, more so than this one. I think I guess we'll probably end up doing some stuff in here. I think the problem is, I don't know what it is with Paradox, but first of all, I never hear about these things until it's just a random YouTube trailer. Like, I don't know, like, I'm for some reason not on their media list, even though I've been playing this game. Actually, I've been playing this game since before it came out, because they originally, you know, sent me an early copy. And, like, so I was, like, on their list then when they had, you know, they're doing the pre-release stuff for all the YouTubers and all that. And then I've, like, not heard anything from them since ever. And I always just, like, I was like, all right, I'll just buy it when it comes out, which I guess I'll be doing again. So, actually, the problem is, what I was going to say is they never give you a release date for these things. They're just like, coming soon, pre-order now. It's like, is it really that hard to just say, hey, this is coming out on this date? Like, if you don't know when it's coming out, just don't announce it. Like, it's just a little DLC for a game. Come on, guys. Just be like, hey, it's coming out in 2 weeks, or it's coming out in a month, or whatever. You know, just tell me, because I don't know when. Yeah, so here's what I'm doing with the traffic. Because this is essentially a big... it's not really, but think of it as a rest stop for the highway. It's absolutely not that, but that's how I'm designing the road network. So here you can see we, to enter this area, we have an entrance from this side of the road over here, and we have an exit going the other way, but you can't exit from both sides of the road, if it makes sense. So it basically only connects going to the right-hand side and from the right-hand side, in that direction, as you can see, as I built it. Then the other side of this whole area, that's where I do it going the other way. So you essentially, the traffic all flows through the area only to get to the stations, you know, and they flow right on back out again. And it means by not having only one, if we only had one interchange, we'd have to somewhere have a turnaround, like where cars would have to be able to do a big U-turn to get back out the same way. But it also means we put a lot more traffic in that one area. And then so we essentially split one three-way interchange into two one-way interchanges. Well, it's not one-way. I guess two-way interchanges. You know, like we split one three-way interchange into two. Like it's two halves. Or you can just think of it as one really big three-way interchange. Like it's huge because it's really spread out on either side. Because it just means that the traffic flow through the area is way smoother. Like it honestly is. And it has no issues for having two cargo train stations right next to each other. Which, by the way, I believe, both of them are actually used. I was just trying to think about it. But yeah, I've definitely seen both of them being used because they both get used because they both have different regional connections, which means that they're sending cargo to and from both of them, which is really cool. So just make sure that this all looks nice and smooth going into the area. And going straight down there. I also can't believe that this game has been out for 3 years. Oh, man. It's because it was like 2015, March 2015, right? Something like that. Something 2015. And SimCity was 2014, the year before that, wasn't it? God, that was awful. Remember that game? Let's do a whole Let's Play series on that. You know what? Let's not do City Skylines anymore. I'm gonna change. We're not gonna do this series anymore. Hey guys, final episode of Sedona. We're moving on. We're doing City Skylines. Oh my god. Do you guys remember how small the map in that game was? It's like smaller than a single tile in this game. I swear. I swear it's nothing. And I couldn't imagine, man, this game, even City Skylines, like 3 years ago with no mods, because it didn't, there wasn't really any mods then, but it still had workshop support. But yeah, 3 years ago, no mods. If you play this game vanilla even now is much better because they've added a lot of stuff over the years. But if you went back to 3 years ago, this game has come so far, and it's so much better. Like the things that you see people do in this game, some people build some incredible things, and it just looks amazing. Some people do like photorealistic stuff in this game too. I'm like, how are you doing this? And can you imagine for a second if SimCity was really successful and then this game flopped because of the success of that game, because it's like, it's a, SimCity is the mega franchise. People, if that was actually a successful game, this probably, it would have still existed because they were definitely still making this at that time anyway. They were making it and it was going to come out regardless of whether SimCity was a success or not. They just got really lucky. But can you imagine if SimCity was a huge success and it didn't have modding? It didn't have modding. It didn't have modding. It was always online. And it had the world's tiniest maps. It would have just been an absolute DLC boat. And that's all it would have been. And now some of you might be like, oh, that's what The Sims is today. But no, it's not, because The Sims really largely supports modding and custom content. So there's no easy to use Steam Workshop on Origin, which I really wish it was. It was an Origin Workshop. It'd make it so much easier. But you can there's so many mods for that game, and you can add as many custom items in as you want. You can customize the crap out of that game. But SimCity didn't even have that. It just didn't have support for mods at all. And it's oh my god. See, that's why I think it's just I'm so happy this game exists, man. This is just so sentimental. So I downloaded, because I wanted to turn this area, because obviously this is a very industrial area right here. Because we have the two cargo stations, and then I put in that big warehouse just over there. I was like, that looks really cool. So then I downloaded some more, some little smaller warehouses and stuff from the workshop, which are here. And they originally came, I think it was ridiculous. I put them down, and each of the, because they're Rico buildings, each of those buildings required 20 workers. And I'm like, whoa, no. So I actually modified them each to require, I think they require one worker now, because I'm like, it's an empty warehouse. I don't really want that many people working in there, but I wouldn't mind having jobs there so people still drive to it and go to it. But I was like, 20 is way too much, so I turned it way down. And same with all these other ones. I turned them down to 2 or 1. There's one of them, I think, which I'll place in a minute. Oh, the Gibson Guitar Factory. That one's beautiful. We already have that elsewhere on the map, but I like that one. I think I'll put it down. This building there, it originally required 67 workers or something ridiculous. And I'm like, why does it require that many people? It's something like that's going to break my game. 67. I turned it down to 10 because I'm like, 67 is a little too much. So I turned it down. And then put them in there instead, because it was a perfect fit for that little road section there. Now, yeah, so we had this bridge. So I did this one-way road going around up to the bridge, and on the other side of the bridge is where the passenger train station is. That's why you can see there's a million cars driving out at the moment, because when a train comes in from the region and pedestrians get off the train, they will sometimes walk, or they'll catch the train line that I've put through there, which will jump into the real-time gameplay at the end, just so we can have a look at everything in a little closer detail, and you can see how it's all set up. And I thought this area was kind of cool. It was kind of cool area to do an IKEA, because I often, they're often here, or at least in Australia, in a kind of semi-industrial areas, because IKEA itself is basically a warehouse. So it's that's kind of the perfect spot for it. This area is not super heavy industrial, right? It's just a lot of warehouses, obviously a cargo stations and all that, but it's not disgusting smog producing industrial. It's not the middle of something. And it's also got the huge passenger station there. So it's this kind of works. And for me personally, it kind of makes sense to have an IKEA there. What I'm doing now, by the way, I just altered the speed limit on the leftmost lane, the lane where all the trucks turn into the train stations. I actually altered the speed limit down to 40, and the rest of the road is 70. The reason I did that is because I am very smart, and I was trying to influence the way the traffic flows. No, but basically the idea was anyone that's not trying to get to the cargo station, I don't want them driving in that left lane. So by having that down at 40 and the other lane right next to it at 70, cars are going to, by default, drive drive in the faster lane because it's a faster way to go. So they'll jump in the other lane, but cars trying to go into the cargo station have to go in that lane. So they go in that lane, they go slower, they turn into it. It basically means we don't get a huge backup of traffic on that road because of trucks trying to turn into the cargo station. It separates it out really, really nicely. So you can see everyone in that left lane should be going into the cargo stations there, which is really, really helpful. But yeah, so I'm just like filling out this area with a lot of these little custom warehouses all over the place because I wanted to fill it up. And then I thought, how about like a little what was this one? The Mall of Moderation, like another like almost like a little bit of a older mall, maybe a more rundown one in this area. Could even be like, maybe it's actually like a factory outlet mall, you know, it's an outlet place because it's by all these warehouses, it's a bit more industrial, but it's also still near this huge train station, this huge regional train station that connects all of Sedona to this area and also connects outside of the city. So it's like, it's still, I think it also makes sense there in that way. It kind of looks like a big factory building too, or a big big warehouse building. So it's like, that's what we're going to do with it. And then I thought, because this area is not far away from the other not the residential area, but the other section of the city just over here, which is I don't even know what to call it, but it was the area we built like the last couple episodes. I was like, it's so close to the other areas, we probably should have a direct road connection to it rather than, you know, because at the moment you have to get back on the highway if you want to get to the other area, and that's kind of silly. You shouldn't have to do that if it's just a little bit down the road. So I decided to add a road connection in here. At the moment, you can see I'm actually building this overpass, and I actually end up getting rid of that. I don't think it's in the video, but I put it in there at first. It was like, oh, like if we get a lot of traffic, this will be way better for traffic flow. Because the idea is this road, you can't turn left here to get on the highway. Like this is not to be used as a highway entrance road. You can't turn left. Coming off the highway, I didn't want it to be able to turn right either, so you can't get onto it. It was essentially literally a road just to connect to this industrial area or this warehousey area from the other side without using the highway. And that was kind of the idea behind it. But anyway, so I built this flyover thinking, I was like, oh yeah, there'll be like loads of traffic. And then I realized, I was like, oh wait, actually no one's going to use this. But there's a few people that use it, but it's not that popular. Cars still tend to prefer the highway, which makes sense in the game's logic because it's faster. But I mean, I plan on building up a lot more around here, especially on this hillside here. I think this could be a really good like residential area. I mean, maybe not the nicest residential. It is between train lines and a highway, but there's room for it, and I think there's potential here, or just some sort of built up area. I mean, I do build up this little area over here because I wanted to get it moving on. So I move so we just bridged over here and we're going over to the other side, and then I will plan out some roads, and I actually do a little bit of residential right near that train line and the highway, which I wasn't totally convinced that was the best idea, being between a highway interchange and the train line. But then I remembered that train line is actually not used at all by anything. No trains use that because there's no train line that goes on it. Cargo trains don't use it because they use the other two rails that tunnel underneath. The only trains that would use that line that goes from the outside and around this area is passenger trains, but I have not put any routes there because it is completely useless. I'm only keeping it there because, I mean, to be fair, I don't think that rail I think it looks pretty good. Like, I think it's a nice looking rail. It goes straight through like the highway interchange and all that. And also I spent ages trying to put it in, so I don't want to take it out. And it's actually kind of a bit of work to take it out because I built the highway interchange around that rail. Like, it was kind of designed around it. So I'd have to, adjust the highway interchange to make it, like, I'd have to rebuild half of it. So there's more work to take it out than it is to leave it there, which is kind of like real life. There's like a lot of things like that where it's like they will just leave something there because it's not worth it. Like, it's not doing any harm by leaving it there. So it's like there's no point taking it out. What's the point of spending money to get rid of it or spending time to get rid of it if there's no tangible benefit, which is kind of this situation here. And that's why it's there. And also, you know what? We could pretend it's an old railway that used to exist. Well, it still exists, but an old railway line that used to be used, and now it no longer is. That's the story behind it. Beautiful. Problem solved. So I decided to build up this little area here. As you can see, I did some simple grids around here, just between that train line and the highway there. And that is actually going to be a housing area. I was worried it was going to be too loud, but then, like I said, that train line's not used. And it's actually the loudest bit is next to that avenue, not even the highway. The highway is not actually that loud at all. So it's actually fine. It's actually a nice place to live. There's no pollution. I made sure to check that it wasn't too close to the industrial just over here, because obviously we do have a large industrial area nearby, but it's actually not too bad. But yeah, we'll jump into game just in a couple of minutes here, and we'll have a look at it all and see, so you can see properly what I've done. Because I think I did a few little things here and there after the time lapse that weren't particularly recorded. I was trying to do a lot of commercial and offices, because I wanted to make sure that there was a good buffer between train lines, heavy trafficked roads, and the industrial. So I was trying to make sure we had a lot of commercial and office space around to really separate out where the houses are going to be, because I wanted that area at the back to be residential, but I wanted to have a good little buffer zone between everything there. And then just turn that road up here to 70 kilometers an hour, so it's nice and fast. And I was making sure to make sure the intersections are set up properly, leveling out all the roads, because some of them were a little bit off. And then things here are just building up. And it actually works really well. So you can see the traffic through the area flowing. Again, like I said, we'll have a look in game in just a moment's time. And we can have a look at the new train station, because you haven't really seen any of the train lines that I set up, but they are running through the entire area. Actually, right here, we're running out of power in the city. So I added in another nuclear power plant, because this city actually uses a crap ton of power. We got 3 nuclear power plants, that solar updraft tower, and we have the huge dam on the map as well. And we're still kind of teetering on the edge of not having enough power. So this is a very power hungry city. Definitely the biggest physically I've built. I don't know about in terms of population. I don't know what my other cities reached. But I mean, this one, we're pretty much hovering around 140,000 people on this one. So it's doing well. But yeah, we'll just putting in a couple of last roads here, and we're going to jump into the game and just have a look how everything has come together. Okay, so here we are in the game. So obviously we built this road just there at the end of the time lapse, and this area now has actually built up quite a bit. So it's filled in here with all the houses. We've got the train lines running down through here, which I think hopefully are being used. Not a huge amount, but they are definitely being used, which is good. So if we have a look, I just want to prove that the noise in this area is actually not bad. Like the noise on the highway, we actually left a decent amount of room. The most amount of noise is coming right here from this whole commercial area, which, I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. I did large commercial buildings there, but I also did try to do a little buffer of offices just there to help out a bit. I mean, the first houses there are a little noisy, but as you get back through here, these guys are sitting pretty. No worries at all. I don't know why I've not zoned anything there. Let's just put low density commercial there. How about that? There you go. A little block of it. Right, so moving down this way, you can see, so this is the road that sort of connects. What I was trying to say is we connect this area here through to here without, because at the moment, before I built that, they had to go on the highway along to get there. Which is kind of silly, just if you wanted to get here to here and you had to drive on the highway. So I decided to change that, so we had a road there. And some people do use it. As you can see, there are some vehicles going down there, which is good. Yeah, so here is the area. If you couldn't see it too well in the time-lapse or didn't really understand it, let me explain it real quick. So we have the regional connection here, number 1, number 2. They're completely separate. So we have the first line coming in here. As you can see, that cargo train just spawned with 100% cargo. Beautiful. That train will then pull in. The only way it can go is directly here. It can only go to this station as it comes in now. That's the only place it can go. This track that splits off only goes to the passenger lines. There's no cargo lines connected to it, so they can't go anywhere there. So this will come in here. All it will do is drop off 100% cargo here. It'll either turn into trucks that go on the road, or it'll spawn another train on this track here, and then that will join off to anywhere else in the rest of the map. As you can see, that rail then joins out this way and heads up into all the internal rail lines that connect out through the rest of the map. And it also goes the other way through here. So you can go down this way and get on that rail and go all the way down there. Head out that way if you want, or you can go around to the left and hook through to this one, which then joins all the way down out here as well. Which you actually got a train using at the moment, and that joins to the other side of the map as well. So you can go that way or that way from there. And the same with this one. Cargo trains will spawn here, and they can only come in here and only go to this station. And then local deliveries will come out on this track, and then again they can go either way to anywhere in the map. So that's how that one works. Now underneath we have this regional train coming in here. As you can see, that came from the edge of the map, and that can only go into the very first platform here in the underground section of the station, which we can have a look inside in just a moment. And same on the other side, the passenger line actually comes in and goes into, actually did a different platform. Okay, so that one goes into the first one, this comes into the second one, and then my train line, my local train line, which we'll have a look at in a minute, comes in here, goes into the third platform, and then that can actually continue out, and that will actually continue up this way, up north. As you can see, I've built ready to go this way, and that'll head up probably to Mulberry Farms, I don't know that I will actually go that way, to be honest. I might change it to come around this way because we already, like, the thing is we already have train lines here. I don't know. Or maybe we will go this way. The problem is I just don't know where it's going to go because we've got the highway in the way, so we'll either have to go above it or under it, and it's a whole thing. But anyway, so that's prepared to go north, or it can go to the right, which it currently does go to the right. It comes around here, swoops up and around, goes up this hill, and then actually joins through over to Amity Exchange on this last platform here. Because that last platform actually used to be our regional train line from the map. But if we have a look at our train line now, I want to show you. So this is it here. This is the same one from last episode, and let me just go to the train so I can actually highlight it. There it is. So last episode, but it now ends there. So it has a few more stops. So if we go back to where we were originally, which was, it comes up to here, it stops at this station, both directions now, but it continues on, and you can see it comes around here, connects into this train here. So then that means they can get off here to go outside of the map, or people coming in from outside of the map can switch to the internal line. Then they can either go to Amity Exchange and get way more connections from that point, or they can go down this way and pretty quickly also just get to the central station that way too. There's a couple different ways you can go there, but that is how that works. I think that's pretty much all the connections that we got going on there. So we have this little bridge that goes across for all our cars. That building does technically go over it a little bit, but just pretend that people walk on the other side. I think I might move it a little bit, but whatever, it's fine for now. But yeah, I did a bunch of just rails up the top here because I wanted it to look like a little rail yard kind of thing. But then we have this like super modern train station here, which, like I said, we can go inside. I mean, it doesn't look great inside. It's mostly from the outside. It looks pretty cool. But you jump inside underneath, and you can kind of see how it's laid out. Like, they haven't designed the inside, but you can see how it's laid out. So we have the 4 tracks down the bottom, technically 8, but you know what I mean. Then we have a couple more up the top, which the thing is, I don't think we'll use most of these ever. But as you can see, we've got a lot of people using this. So those people there are waiting to leave the map. These guys are waiting for my internal train line to go whichever direction they would like. So if they're on this side, they're heading down to the city. If they're on this side of the track, they're all going to Amity Exchange, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, so that's how that all works. And so now we finally have the sort of regional exchange here, which is called King Square. And we have our other one over here, which actually doesn't have a district name at all. This one, I think, is slightly less impressive, but I also think it's probably fitting for the area. It's a smaller space, so it fits in just fine. I think this one, I wanted to have a bit of fun with it, make it a little bit more impressive, make it a bit more of a show, a bit more of a song and dance. You can see lots of traffic actually comes down this way when a big train comes in. I'm not really sure what's going on here. This happens every so often. People just wait here. They just say waiting, then say going home. There's no public transport there. It's not a bus. It's nothing. They should be in the station or something. They're not, but whatever. I don't know about that. Yeah, so that train line is dead. It does nothing. Goes there. Oh, and actually I just want to address a few comments from last time as well. So someone's like, what's the point of having 2 stations here? They're literally next to each other. The point is, we don't have room to do just one station with double tracks. Or, like, the thing is, we need double tracks and we also need a bypass track. So we need all these different lines. We can't actually fit that in. We'd have to completely redesign the area, which is not something I want to do. Also, I think it's kind of fun trying to figure out, it's like trying to solve a puzzle, trying to get everything to fit in. And I think it looks really, really awesome because, like, you can think of it as one station that's been joined together. You know, the platforms are just, you know, it's like one station, but technically 2. You know, as the city grew, the stations are a little far apart. They put them together. Like I've explained in some of our other places, kind of like a Euston station in King's Cross in London kind of thing, you know, where the stations are pretty much next to each other, but technically different, but also kind of joined and kind of the same. So that's why we did that. We also needed the bypass track for all the cargo. Otherwise, the cargo would get stuck behind passenger trains, and that would just be a mess. So that's why we had to do the bypass, and I also think that looks pretty cool. That's why we did that. The other thing I did, I finally downloaded the mod to press shift and move the lines again. I don't know why it took me so long, but anyway. So I've organized these properly. So green trains are now on the left, orange are on the right. They don't get in the way of each other, which is lovely. So that's all good now, and that's working quite well. And for some reason, I don't know why people keep saying this. It's not been true for the longest time. People are like, the reason you're losing money is because you got all these things turned on at the stadium, which I think people maybe thought I had, like, maybe not that. I think it's this one, the security, which is 9,000. I don't have that on. We do have this one here. Oh, no, that's security. What's this one? Subsidized use. We do have security on. That's 500 a week, but it's fine. Like, that's barely anything. And then people also said I had things on here, which again, I don't know if people thought I had the ad campaigns on for 9,000 or this one for 3,000. I don't. We do have a security budget. It is at 2,000 a week. We could probably turn that down, but also the thing is, we essentially fluctuate from, negative balances, and then it goes hugely positive up to like plus 15 to 20,000. It goes all over the place. And obviously we've been hovering around 4 million forever, so that's not anything to worry about. I can't remember if there's anything else that I wanted to address, because there's a lot of comments. I'm like, oh, I have something to say about that, but I think that's probably it. So I think I'll leave this part here. It was just a time lapse doing up this area. I hope you like it, because I think it's going to be pretty cool. Well, I think it is pretty cool. Sorry, it is pretty cool. But if you have any comments, suggestions, or feedback, let me know down below. We'll be back next time. Maybe not doing trains, or maybe doing trains. I'm in a bit of a train kick at the moment, but we do need to. I want to build a few little towns out around here somewhere. Probably a lot of stuff to do. But leave your comments, suggestions, feedback, ideas, and everything down below. But thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time, and have an awesome day. Oh, look at this place. Like, this is 80 episodes worth of work. If you've watched every episode, start to finish, this is where we got to. I like how my city sort of congregated all right at this corner of the map. I mean, this is the most beautiful area, let's be honest. Alright, bye guys. Oh, by the way, listen to my podcast, it's great. Crossing the Streams. If you go to the website, crossingthestreams.show, check it out. Bye guys. Plane.